Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Let's see, let's cut the cards a bit. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope that the weather is as lovely where you are as it is where I am. It's like that perfect surprise summer return where it's not like scorching hot summer, but it's a nice cool breeze with a little sun and a little heat, just when you thought all was lost to the fall. Surprise! Mother Nature gives you a little respite, and I love it. It's going to be pretty nice for the next few days. Let's see what's on the bottom. Oh, the Hierophant. Wow, okay. That's some exaltation of power. You never know with the Hierophant, because we off the top say the God card, but it really just comes down to what the energies are surrounding this card, and I guess we'll see how this persists, how this, turns out. But the Hierophant can be religious establishments and structures. It could be an authority figure of some sort. It can either be one person or it can be a group. In a lower vibration, it can be as dark as even, say, secret societies, covens, diabolical, operations of some sort. In the highest vibration, as I said, it could be God. It's a representation of a religious leader such as the Pope, or a religious figurehead such as the Pope, or someone that's in some high honorable position of spiritual authority or position. Well, I already said position, so I don't know. We'll see. But let's just keep that in mind. Should we take that out? Does the Hierophant want to be out? I guess we will, because I really don't know what it's speaking to. So let's see how it plays out. All right, here we go. Happy Monday to you. If I didn't say it already, I know I said I hope you're doing well, but I don't know if I said happy Monday. Hope your Monday and your week is off to a prosperous start. So far, so good for me. BT dubs. All right, so let's see. All right, so we got the King of Pentacles, the Moon card, which is some mystery, something mystical under the surface, maybe even emotional. And then we got the Seven of Pentacles, which is about long-term investments, either investments, more or less that have already been made, or something that's being harvested now. Then we got the Four of Swords, which could be rest and rejuvenation, could also be mental exhaustion. And then we got the Two of Pentacles, which is about balancing some sort of resources. And it's the difference between struggling and juggling for me when I see the Two of Pentacles. Again, depending on what the surrounding energy may be. And given, I don't know, this isn't, let's see here. The Moon card is always a cause for pause, because it always brings to light, that there is something that needs to be brought to light, whether it be emotions, whether it be some psychology of sorts. And remember, I said, like, in a lower vibration, the Hierophant can be secret societies or some type of like mystical coven or collaboration of sorts. And then we got the Moon card, which is definitely mystical energy and mysterious. So I'm trying to reserve you know how it can be these days. But what I'm ultimately seeing is that there was some investment of energy made continuously that either has laid someone to rest or that has been laid to rest. The return on the investment has been stopped short in some regard. Yeah, okay. So there's a King of Pentacles here, and it seems like the King of Pentacles in his upright position is always, is a pretty decent card. He's someone that's dependable, that is stable, secure, that is committed to his responsibilities, particularly family, when you see the King or Queen of Pentacles, and is the kingpin. Okay, so that's what I'm getting here. So we're talking about perhaps some type of Dark Lord energy who more or less was this may be even the head of some organization, or once was, or just some prominent figure in an organization that, and in the forefront, he had one persona, which would be the upright King of Pentacles, but under the surface, the underworkings of whatever this situation was something that obviously couldn't be expressed in the light. Whenever there's a need for there to be secrecy or concealment, it's because there's something taboo about it, ultimately, about whatever this operation is or whatever this function of this group or organization is. The investments that were made to keep this group functioning, to keep said members and parties in a prosperous position, such as the King of Pentacles, and in some position of power of sorts, whether it was feeding one particular force of power or it was a collective, as I've said, force of power and prosperity. Whatever it is, there's something to be desired here with the return with the Seven of Pentacles. That now either the efforts of the operation or the productivity of the operation has been laid to rest and has caused a lot of mental and material unrest and instability on account of obviously what has not been a favorable return for those members involved, or it just hasn't yielded the fruits that was expected. And so even still, regardless, there's still some reason for, as I said, some type of mental exhaustion where people are probably thinking how are they going to pay their bills, or what are they going to do? Should they continue to invest in this, is what I'm hearing, or should they go, that's what's really happening. People are trying to figure out what to do next, literally what to do with their energy, with their time, how to scrape up from what they've lost, perhaps, because this is a great disparity going from the King of Pentacles, who is the wealthiest king in the deck, aside from the Emperor, of course, more or less, because the Emperor is more so about power and authority. The King of Pentacles is specifically about wealth and prosperity and value in the kings. From that to someone that doesn't have to think about how they're going to pay their bills, where the next meal is coming from. Their bills are on auto pay. Maybe the house is paid for, the car is paid for, or at least paid up in advance. So, there's money in the bank, investments are all in the green. That's the King of Pentacles. Happy life, happy wife, home, kids, everybody secure. Kids may be in private school. Wife is wearing the finest to find. They may be philanthropists. I should learn how to say that word, shouldn't I? They may be that, that's the essence of the King of Pentacles. High value in every way, shape, or form. And not just materially, because of course that's all the material aspects, right? But the King of Pentacles in his upright is also, as I said, he's stable, he's secure. He also is, he can be generous as well because he has so much to share. He makes wise investments. You don't typically get to be wealthy without being prone to sharing in some or giving in some way, shape, or form. And maybe perhaps that's the disparity here, is that there, when I'm seeing the dark energy of the moon, is that maybe that was the projection of being this stable king that's willing to share his wealth and that is generous, but below the surface, he really was kind of counting every penny in some regard, you know, and very careful about and strategic. That's also the King of Pentacles. He's a strategist. So the public persona is one thing, and I'm sensing that the public persona was really to empower, it was to empower his position that, you know, that not only is he rich, but he's very generous. So it was like almost exalts himself as some benevolent creature when really at the core of it all, he really wasn't. He wasn't really. If he was, we wouldn't have this disparity here to the Two of Pentacles, unless, you know, some freak of nature occurred in some regard. But for the most part, a King of Pentacles is wise with his investments in the upright, unless there's something secretive or, you know, under the surface that would lead to a Two of Pentacles where you absolutely are robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're having to stretch every dime. You're counting every penny for what it's worth. You don't really know where your next meal is coming from, or you're having to just really micromanage your finances in a way that's not, that sometimes can veer into the space of scarcity. Now, in the upright, it could just be somebody that's very conservative, very careful in their financial management, and whether they have to be or not, that's just the mentality of the Two of Pentacles. But I'm getting here with the Four of Swords that there's a reason for some imbalance here that is causing him, and that's the reason for the unrest and the dissatisfaction here with the Seven of Pentacles, because he has to count every penny. It's not like, oh, I'm just being extra frugal. It may perhaps be that there's just not a lot to, you know, a little has to go a long way is what I'm hearing. And on the count of a King of Pentacles to start, to me, as I said, the Hierophant, not knowing which way it could go, that's always on account of mismanagement. Investing in energies that are not altogether productive and prosperous. All right, so we got 6 coming out. Oh, we got the King and Queen of Swords coming out together. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, the King and Queen of Swords usually are, well, first of all, they are counterparts in the tarot, first and foremost. Obviously, they're both they're both royalty. Pardon me, and they both are of the suit of swords, right? But traditionally so, they're usually representative of couples that may or may not be on the same page at this moment. You know, like the Queen, they're like divorcees, you know, usually. In this case, though, I'm thoughtful. I'm about to see where this progression leads, because she is facing him and he is next to her, even though he's facing forward. So maybe they are at odds in some way based on this imbalance with the finances. You know, they say that's usually the number one thing that couples get divorced over, and that's what they are, divorcees, right, is finances. So we'll get to that in a second, but let's start back here. So we got the Knight of Wands and the Ace of Cups, and then the Two of Cups, some partnership or agreement, and the Ace of Cups, that's definitely, okay. And then we got the Page of Swords, either someone observing an agreement from the outside or damn near stalking an agreement from the outside, like keeping a very watchful eye on two people. And then you got the two people here. Okay, let's see. All right, well, we got this going under this moon card. But what's the Ace of Cups representing? Because I don't get the sense that these two, I don't know, let's see here. And who is this Knight of Wands also? Because the Knight of Wands, is this the nature of the King of Pentacles? And what is he after also? Like, I'm just confused by this whole row, I'm not gonna lie. The only thing that truly is stand out is the Queen of Swords and the King of Swords. So Spirit, what is this telling me? Maybe that's the mystique of it all, is what this partnership, because this is the first time we're actually seeing a feminine energy here on this third row, right? And the Hierophant actually can also mean matrimony in partnership. You know, it could be marriage. So we definitely have a couple here. And where there once was agreement, but see, I just don't, the reason why I'm feeling like this couple here is different from this couple here is because what we have is the Ace of Cups, which is definitely a very high vibrational card in terms of the cup energy. It's like unconditional love, true love in a sense, you know, divine love, spiritual affluence, you know, anointing even. And I'm feeling like there's just something funny here, and it's going to come to me. But for some reason, it's very covert. It's hidden. It's either that this couple is not what it's portraying itself to be, which would be in alignment with the King of Pentacles having like being almost like two-faced in a sense, or it's that this couple is something different than what this Queen of Swords is, and it's this couple here that's almost like watching, because see, the Page of Swords is like almost coming from this energy, almost like he was sent from the Queen or the King, you know, maybe both, maybe one, or maybe one of the two, or maybe both of their ass, you know what I mean? Because in essence, okay, so this King of Swords is who's rubbing me as the one who's connected to this Page of Swords. Either this is him stalking and watching some other connection or agreement, or, you know, it's given that this King of Swords is unhappy where he is, and this is the place that he is in essence, right? Like this is where he's sitting in the present moment. And it's almost like he's looking stoically forward, like he's looking ahead where she's keeping an eye. Like she not letting him, she facing him and not letting him out of her sight, even though it's like it might be a couple that ultimately is disconnected emotionally, because that's what the Queen and King can be. Of Swords, they can be emotionally detached. It's like they live in the same house, but they're not together, you know, like they're still in the same space, but they're not actually like a consenting couple intimately, or there's some agreement perhaps as to why they're sharing a space, or even projecting a certain face as a united front, but really at the core of it, they're not really in alignment. You know, and especially under this energy here, there may even be some psychological unrest and mental dis-ease here between the two of them, especially when you think about people that ultimately don't really want to be sharing the same space, but they either have to for some reason or for some period of time. That's the only reason I can think. You know, there's some reason that they feel like they have to be in the same space, whether they're settling some financial, so they're settling some financial issues, or they're having to share the same space because of a dependency on, you know, their stability at the time, you know, where they share a home and they don't know, one or the other doesn't really want to leave or can't leave, God forbid, and they have to be here for the sake of having a roof over their heads, but they really just would rather part ways at this point. That's what that energy is giving me. So it's like he's stoic, looking forward, like, you know, he's just not paying her no mind while she's watching his every move. But on the inside, this is what, oh my gosh, he's planning on trying to make a move. And that's why this Knight of Wands is here, because this is the ambition of the King of Pentacles, who ultimately is this Knight of Swords. I get the sense that he's where he used to be more in the high value material man characteristics here when the money was flowing, whatever misinvestment there was here has more or less just put him in this energy of, he's still a strategist, but he's just like plotting on some way of some point of escape from where he is, and he's idealizing, maybe even fantasizing, especially with this Eight of Cups, this ideal opportunity with some other person, because this is not the Queen of Swords. This is someone holding a cup, perhaps a Queen of Cups now in this regard, especially coupled with the Ace of Cups. So he's just idolizing love, perhaps even looking back, as this Page of Swords is, at an opportunity that he had to ambitiously pursue some other thing, but look where he's headed, away from that Ace of Cups, away from that true love experience, that divine love exchange, which is what's here. So that's why I'm like, what is this? It's like, this is his fantasy, that he's fantasizing, that's his escape. That's how he escapes this cold, desolate relationship. Like, this relationship is cold, is calloused. The money there's a lack of material stability, so that doesn't buffer it. There's no love here. There's only just two people. Somebody's knocking. BRB. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I actually thought it was my maintenance man, but alas, it was not. It was an old neighbor, so I may get another interruption that I am expecting, which is my maintenance man. Pardon me for the past in advance, and also for this Twizzler that I picked up along the way. All right, so anyway, I'm gonna pull another row. What was already discovered, it seems, is that this man is like, and this might even be him. Yeah, this is like his like psychological escape from this dark place that he's found himself in. And it's him perhaps even either reminiscing on a past love exchange or situation, or some experience that he missed out on. You know, that he either, here's the investment piece, he either invested in something that ultimately just didn't pan out to be what he thought. Maybe this is what he ordered and what he got was this. We've done that before, you know, where he thought it was going to be something that was on the same page and that had great potential. I don't know, to me, I mean, it could be that he expected there to be some overflow of love here. But it was a love spell. That's the Moon card. Yeah. So it never really was authentic. But that's what I mean. It's like, because he would, all right. So there definitely could have been some type of love spell or like I said, mystical interference here, right? As I said, this is the first time we're seeing a feminine energy, and she's the closest to this Ace of Cups, right? When in actuality, it's connected to a Knight of Wands, which could be him more or less pursuing lust in some regard, as opposed to pursuing love, because he's turned away from the Ace of Cups. But under this Moon card, it could also be, like I said, some just mystical energy, manipulation even, is what I also hear, that was presented as a so-called Ace of Cups, which is this overflowing expression of love and exchange of love, when really her cup was probably more empty. And I get the sense that in some regards, his was a little bit too, to be fair, because he started out here as the King of Pentacles. So even if, as he idealized this so-called exchange of love, I feel like he really only saw it in regards to how it could reward him, materially and physically. How we know love, well, we don't all know obviously, but love energy is equivalent to material energy. Like it transmits into, transforms, transmits, transmutes, however you want to say it. When you're vibing in a high frequency, you ultimately are in a high attractive force to pull in or manifest wealth. But that's probably the reason why things that this agreement and this matrimony wasn't holistically, materially sustainable, is because it was never quite on it wasn't quite pure in the first place. Like his projection of interest and devotion was more to the material aspect of it all and the gain. Being connected to this couple or connected as this couple, there was some interest or motive, some ulterior motive in it for him that looked like it could bring wealth, is what I'm trying to say ultimately. That didn't pan out because that's not why you get with somebody. Even if it was just for the sake of simply just to be stable or to be, like people marry for money, or they marry because somebody can take care of the bills, or not just like marry for money, like, oh, he has money, I'm gonna marry him. But sometimes, even simply put, people make a decision on a partnership over one, that, like they say, love don't pay the bills, right? But a high love frequency is a force that can ultimately, create anything if it's well nourished and and that energy is well invested, and it's pure along with that as well. So that's the difference here, is that he went with the choice that ultimately looked like it would be most stable. King of Pentacles, he's definitely about stability and security for sure in the financial sense. And that's where he invested his time and energy. But alas, it didn't even pan out to be that for either one of them, because there probably was some financial investment that she, had interest in as well, sitting here under the moon and with the Seven of Pentacles. Like she had a vested interest in this union having some favorable return monetarily or energetically. And now she's sitting in the Queen of Swords, feeling very cold and detached and very watchful over him at this point. And maybe even, whatever her failed energy was here in regards to this love spell is what has turned on his head. She put the spell on him ultimately, or manipulated him for the sake of who he presented himself to be. That's why the King of Pentacles. She saw a King of Pentacles, somebody, like I said, that could pay the bills, or that was wealthy, or had the potential for wealth, and could add value to her bottom line in some way, shape, or form. And that's what she also pursued by way of this dark energy and manipulation. She got him, but now they're both in the Queen of Swords. They're both in the sword energy, which is detached. There's no real connection here. They may even, if they were married, as with the Hierophant card, they're either on their way to divorce or already divorced. And like I said, yeah, here's the Emperor card. They're on their way to divorce and cohabitating. And it's definitely not a blissful space of coexistence for either one of them, so it seems. So we got the Emperor card here. What's the Emperor card talking about? The King of Wands. Who's this Emperor? Ooh, this is getting interesting. The Temperance. Hold on, this is like taking a different turn, because I know this King of Wands is not, okay. The Seven of Swords, so what does he think he's getting away with? Let's see, one more card. Yes, love. I'm back at it. I'm back on this video. If it's not Jerry, I'll be out in a minute. All right, one more card. Oh, you don't want us to know what you're trying to get away with. Is that it? Well, we gonna know. And my son interrupted. What does that have to do with it? Maybe his plan well, we know for the most part, the plans of the Seven of Swords get interrupted in some way, shape, or form. But it seems like it got interrupted by this earth angel energy, this Temperance, like some angelic presence in the earth that was not anticipated. But what is he moving away from? I gotta know before I can keep going. Am I taking this? We can put this here, but I wasn't feeling that. It's really not trying to be revealed as to what he's trying to move away from, which is interesting. I usually don't take the card if it doesn't face up, which is why I'm not really prone to take the Six of Wands as it is, but it fell on top of this Emperor card, which is interesting. All right, y'all seeing this. I'm not shuffling any differently than I've been shuffling. And then this, I'll take it. But I know that this is not what it is. It can't be. It's something that, yeah. And to me, it's like, it's something that still either has yet to be revealed or that he doesn't even want to, because the Knight of Cups, it's like an offer of love. Okay, so he's like, oh, it's him, but why is he pointing that? Oh, that's why, because this is wild. All right, so remember I said this, he's been fantasizing about this past relationship or this missed opportunity, past love, old love, or whatever this love is to him. That's his way of escaping where he is. He's thoughtful about making an offer if he can escape this. Yeah. And that's why this is out here, because he's thoughtful about making an offer to said past love, old love, missed opportunity, whatever it is, or whatever he's like I said, it's a fantasy. So he's idealizing some other experience outside of where he is, mainly because he's just so dissatisfied with where he is. And I get the sense that even though in his mind, maybe that's what keeps him alive, keeps him from completely succumbing to his mental exhaustion by way of kind of escaping into this possibility, this fantasy of some love that exists somewhere else that he can ultimately come and whisk himself off into the sunset. But the problem is that love has moved on. This is that energy here. And the reason why also it's unavailable to him is because he really didn't have he didn't have a high intention for it anyway, like good intentions for the love, because the Seven of Swords is never good energy. That's somebody that has some intentions to lie, cheat, steal, dare I say, kill, and although it might prove itself to be a great escape from his unfavorable circumstances at present, he's still bringing all of this energy of which he wants to escape himself to that possibility of love interest, to this other commitment. But he wouldn't even be willing. It's disguised as a Knight of Cups, which means that it's not even a full, mature offer. It's something that there's still something left to be desired from or in. It's not even as mature here in the Two of Cups, where, these are two adults that are more or less on the same page, of some equal balance of position, or, just whatever. They're in a position to offer to each other equally. The Knight of Cups energy, especially in any regards to any of the regal energy here on the board, is not on that type time. That's like a diminished expression of love that ultimately could be more of the same of manipulation, but just dressed up a little prettier. So he might not necessarily be all out looking to finesse this object of affection for some diabolical, even though the Seven of Swords gives me that, but I'm just giving the benefit of the doubt. Like, it might not be a diabolical intention to kill, steal, and destroy, in some way, but it's something that's not pure, and it's not going to be completely honest. So that's why it's like this energy here by way of the Temperance card just completely sideswiped where he thought he might possibly get away. Oh snap. I just heard something. He was running a love spell or wanting to, but see, his is not even on the same level. Like how he got finessed, the moon with the Ace of Cups is a love spell that actually worked. Like whatever she did, however she finessed him, it was enough to make him make several poor investments, to the point where she pretty much finessed him out of all he had, more or less, and still got his ass in the cling right here with the Queen of Swords. Like, yeah, you bet not leave. Where you think you going? Him, it's like this is the distant projection. That's what it is. Like he was sending out some distant projection of love spell, or maybe perhaps, I'm hearing so many things right now. It's so crazy. Like, I'm just going to say them as you catch it if you feel it, pretty much. I'm hearing that these swords energy could have been lies that he actually has expressed about even this so-called object of affection that he's been fantasizing about secretly. But he was conjuring up something that he thought ultimately would help to enhance this offer that he was going to make, or that he's been fantasizing to make as an escape from this situation that clearly is just no longer viable at this point. If he could stay, he probably would stay, but there's really not much to be desired here, at this point, except for whatever control this Queen of Swords is still operating over this King of Swords. So I don't know, maybe she's even pushing him to do this. I don't know. It's weird. I've been confused in this row for a little bit throughout this whole entire reading, honestly, because something convoluted is going on here between these two characters as to why they're even still in the same space, but so obstinate to each other in the first place. So there's something here that they may still be trying to work in terms of some hustle or some way to kind of what's the right word? Like re-up from what they've lost energetically in some way. And it's in regards or on account to some objectified opportunity outside of them that looks like it could be a better move, more prosperous than what they have going. Whatever hustle they were running has run dry, and they're pretty much looking for a new mark ultimately. So they've been trying to project this energy out to some new identified source of prosperity, someone else they could pretty much absorb energy and potentially even money from. But it got blocked is ultimately what happened here, because number one, the magic wasn't strong enough. The spell wasn't spelling, like whatever manipulative tactics they've been able to use in the past that were prosperous have already proven themselves to be malfunctional at this point. Maybe they worked before and they put them in high positions of authority and power and they brought in a lot of resources, but it's been malfunctional. But they decided to try it one more again, and the object of which they were projecting this energy has already moved on and crossed. They're out of reach, so it's like he's coming to offer this cup to someone that's not even there anymore. And that's in a physical sense, but I really get that it was more of a spiritual projection that was happening based on what they've been able to accomplish before, where they thought, and it probably was under this past full moon, because a lot of energy was expelled, and that's why the moon is here. Okay, I got it now. That's why the moon was here, because there was some last projection of energy that was sent out, and it did not return the results that they were looking for. It actually made things worse and kind of sat their asses down, or at least him down and instead of him taking the sign and signal to chill out, there either is still or was still some last ditch effort that was put forth to try to just regroup real quick and do it again. That's what the Seven of Swords energy, like quick movement, trying to do something fast and sneaky, but it wasn't good enough ultimately. When you got the Temperance card here up against this Knight of Cups, who, like I said, there was something that, remember how long it took me to get a card after the Seven of Swords. It was not wanting to be revealed. And it's been so secretive throughout this. I know that I'm probably going to see more when I go back and watch this, because this moon energy has been strong, which we just had a super moon. It is strong. That moon was very powerful. It's a harvest, matter of fact, a harvest moon. He's harvesting crops, isn't he? But the issue is that it's not the crop that he was anticipating. They sent out a lot of energy, probably spent a lot of money on some dark practitioner of sorts, or some dark practitioning, maybe collaboratively so, to ultimately expel some energy that would either block a union that is set to be fruitful and is from a divine nature and does have some potential power to be either exalted or to be exerted. Ultimately, there's some material gain here by suppressing this energy or siphoning it in some way, shape, or form to almost transfer this energy here. That's why I was like, this is weird. Like, what are these two? They wanted to transfer the anointing of a divine union, however, whomever and however they identified it outside of themselves. They know that it's prosperous. Got it. So they've been scouting away either some couple that they've already identified, or that they were scouting one that could be prosperous in a sense, and they don't even have to be together. Divine unions have been intentionally targeted for the sake of them not coming together, because you can siphon more from divine beings that are in separation or solo, even greater than you can once they get together, because once they get together, it's pretty much a wrap. There's nothing that can really separate two individuals that are on the same page under God. So it's been, so that was the intention. So there was some energy expelled, and this is a couple that was identified specifically to keep them apart. That's what these eyes are for, and this is the energy that was expelled to do it. To trade places, and it didn't work. It didn't work because the spirit temperance is here that was like, no, what do you think you're offering here? This energy has already left the building. They thought that they got away with for whatever reason. I don't know why, but there was some cue that allowed this person in the Seven of Swords to think that they might just have actually pulled it off. But you can tell that it's falling short, because this Knight of Cups, like I said, is offering to something that's not even there. He's on land, they're on water. They're already crossing over to some other unknown place that he can't even get to because he's on land and they're on water. That's like spiritual essence carrying you away. It's like they're sandwiched in this same spiritual energy. In the Temperance card, Earth Angel, who is on land and on water, was watching everything. This is like angelic force that was watching this divine union, unbeknownst to him or them or they or whomever. Even this Emperor here is giving me vibes like, who the hell are you and why are you here? Like, where did you even come from? Maybe this is the head of this organization, this operation as it is, because those vibes have been coming up a lot. And the King of Wands, to me, I get the sense that it's the upright masculine, in this union. It's like, I don't think it was expected for him. This is what it was. Oh God, this is so deep. This masculine was upgraded. The reason why they became the target, and like I said, the separation of divine unions is more palatable for those that have diabolical determination, because they can be controlled and ultimately, divide and conquer. You know what I mean? This masculine was not supposed to, that's who this is. He was not supposed to ascend, elevate, perhaps even mature in his spirituality, but he did. He bossed up in a spiritual sense. He was going from the Knight of Wands to the King of Wands by way, first of all, of this angelic assistance, but of course, because he had to make some agreement with it and for it in the first place as the King of Wands. Like, he had to accept in some regard this Ace of Cups from the divine in order for him to have this upgrade. That was not based on whatever energy was being expelled from this coven, from this couple, from this dark society of sorts, or these diabolical determinations of sorts. He wasn't supposed to make the cut. it was pretty much the deal was sealed on his fate by here at this level, that he was still stuck in his Knight of Wands energy, which, like I said, same with the Knight of Cups, wouldn't have been a match in an agreement such as this, where these are two people that are matured in love. He's sitting on the outside of that Ace of Cups. But something, somewhere, somehow, and it's even a secret unto me, aside from this Temperance energy here, but how he got here is the mystery. Perhaps that's why, and it's all under this Moon energy, that's the mystery to be unveiled ultimately, and why this whole reading has been very mystical to me in the first place, because however he ascended and transcended what was expected of him is unknown. It's unknown to me as a reader, is unknown to the perpetrators of whatever this fraud and, whatever this situation was, to take over this energy and swap places. Like they wanted to swap destinies with a divine union to infuse that holy love energy into this crap that they had going on for themselves that has run its course already. So they were trying to re-infuse it. That's why I was like, why are they even still together? But it's because they've been trying to re-infuse divine love into their union solely for the purposes of reclaiming this position of material wealth. It's not for the sake of being in love. So the reason why he's doing all this fantasizing and idolizing is because he's been trying to project love energy and love magic into this united force to almost like force his way into the possibility, like force his way into this. It's hard to explain because it's such dark work and so diabolical, but he's trying to like fantastically force his way into this picture by overthinking about it, perhaps even, sexing himself to the tune of this fantasy, if you know what I mean. If you know, you know. Because the Knight of Wands is very lustful. Can be very lustful in his ambitious drive. Seeing something, he wants it. You see he got his wand in his hand and fantasizing about himself being in this position. And under the Moon too, like that's an energy that has ultimately worked to almost like transmute his energy into this more ideal situation and ultimately siphon, first of all, to keep this pure divine union from coming together, because there's so much dark interference between it, literally with the Page of Swords here, definitely stalker vibes, and then ultimately siphon that power by way of keeping a separation for their purposes of drawing back on that energy so that they can ultimately prosper the way that they were before. Because they've been doing this. They've either done it to other people or they've done it to the same couple or couples over and over again. But this energy is like null and void now. And that's the thing, this is that Seven of Pentacles, when you're doing the same thing over and over with the expectation of the same results. That's why they were so sure that what has worked in the past must work again, because it has put them in a powerful position before. They've done this many times and it's always yielded some result. But it's time's up for that now. And it's like the magic of the universe and the evolution of that centric force is overpowering. It's like overruling. That's the Emperor card here. It's like overruling what was done before energetically. Like it's not the same. It's not the same energy anymore. Like it doesn't have the same potency that it used to. It doesn't make the same impact. The people themselves, as I've said, have evolved. Human consciousness itself is evolving, where people are far more conscious of their own power to be so easily manipulated by external forces or interference. And that's just on a general level, let alone for those that are exalted in any way, shape, and form, divinely so, with the Ace of Cups here, that are anointed in some regard. Like there's a special protection with this Temperance card that comes along with a spiritual anointing that maybe up until now has been easy to kind of sideswipe, but it's not. As long as these two people are operating in the divine contract that is set for them, that they are bound to, this protection is what follows them. So this Seven of Swords that thought he got away with something, they sent out this spell. They sent, like, he was really, that's why his focus is so intent. And she's also like the pressure, it's like, you better make this happen. You bet, she's like the slave driver here on the side, like keeping the heat on him. Like that's also what the issue is that because there's so much desperation here, that's what it is. Anytime you're doing something in the way of desperation, it's not really the force fuel that you need to manifest. Even when, you're naturally manifesting, the spirit of feeling and energy that you're supposed to express is one in which it's already happened, like this overflow of joy and prosperity. Like you have to almost be in the energy as if it already is so. You want the big house, you see yourself in a big house. How does it feel to live in this big, beautiful house? How does it feel to drive the car of your dreams? How does it feel to wake up every day and do what you love? How does it feel to be with the partner that that you've always desired to be with, or that your heart throbs for, or whatever? That's the vibration of manifestation. And it comes naturally to those that embody it naturally, that generally have a grace and a gratitude for life. When you don't embody that because you don't have no damn feelings, Queen of Swords, King of Swords, because all you worried about was money, and you've been pretty much siphoning that pure vibration off of outside people and forces all this time, and then you actually have to do it on your own. Yeah, there is a franticness that comes with that, an anxiety, a mental exhaustion, because you don't know how you're ever going to get that back. The sources that you once had to siphon from have now elevated to such a point where you can't get in there no more. They're literally on the outside looking in like, how can we get some of that energy? And their own resources are depleting because the source is gone and they don't embody that source and force on their own. Hence why they were extorting it literally extorting that energy in the first place. Lustfully so with the Knight of Wands. So now, like I said, because there is so much desperation on account of resources dwindling, they're not being this, they went from the 7 to the 2. From the King to the 7 to the 2. So the reason why what may have worked before is not really working the same way is because, number one, they don't have the same source of power, but number two, their only source, which is this disparity, is not fit for manifesting wealth. When you're just trying to just focus on the bag, focus on the love, focus on the marriage, focus on the union, focus on his energy, her energy. Like they're trying to put themselves in this. That's why I was like, what is this? Like they're trying to put themselves in this loving space of partnership, but it's false. There's no love here. There's no love here. So you can't get blood from a rock. I think that's what you say, or blood from a turnip. But in this case, blood from a rock in this case, because these are two people that really don't have any, affinity for anything really but their own survival and money, which is all fleeting energy. So that's ultimately what they're going to keep manifesting until there's a shift in perspective. So the reason why it's gone is because these two people that whatever the source was that they were still trying to use the same old tactics on have evolved to some other unreachable space and time. They can't be affected by that energy anymore. And it wasn't strong enough because they don't have that vitality that they were still in the first place to do that manipulation. Is the Knight of Cups to the Ace of Cups is a stark comparison. it pales in comparison to divine love. There is no true comparison, honestly. It's just fake. It's dressed up. It looks like something shiny and nourishing, but ultimately it isn't. So they ultimately played themselves, or at least he has, because he's been the front man for this operation from the very beginning, and all the weight has been on his shoulder. Literally, the pressure has been on him to make something shake, and this was his last ditch effort. Like, this was supposed to be the big one that, that took them over, that carried them over into this promised land, into the promise that ultimately was projected for someone else, not them. And it's like literally he missed the boat. It's like he got there just a minute too late with the Knight of Cups. He was almost there, but either he did something too late or too soon. But I get the sense that it was too late and they were already gone. And it's because, as I said, there was this temperance energy here that's been in the midst of this the whole time, even when things were probably working, because the direct line here is the Hierophant, which in the upright is the God card. That this has all been divined in some way, shape, or form. It's all been fair game. Even the worst of it has been fair game, and it's all been under divine ordinance. And the temperance energy is this presence of God in the earth, that where people thought they were getting away with murder, they actually weren't. Everybody was just setting up their own fate ultimately. And now in the Seven of Swords, he's going to have to meet his fate with this temperance energy, because now both of them are going to have to answer to these cups that they've been siphoning from. Now this is like justice with the temperance right here. Everything is going to be balanced out. Those that were ultimately disenfranchised or at a disadvantage on account of this external interference. Yes?
You mind if I go outside?
Well, just wait a second.
Okay.
And those that were the perpetrators of this fraud, whatever it may be, are going to have to drink of that balanced cup. It's like the spirit is like, here you go, and here you go. Now everybody drink up, you know what I mean? Like communion in the most conscious sense. And then the King of Wands, like I said, I'm not going to dig too deep on this because I feel like I'm not supposed to. I feel like, I don't know, for some reason, I feel like I've said enough in terms of the fact that he wasn't supposed to elevate. He was supposed to stay stuck in his lower Knight of Wands energy, off to the side, moving in the wrong direction, away from this love. I feel like it's him a part of this union, and whatever interference that was happening, first of all, this was love magic that was done on account of this guy, that he got glamored and, invested his energy into this plot and plan that clearly was never really going anywhere in the end. But also there was a committed investment in, as I said, in ultimately disenfranchising these divine unions to stay separate. Because how? The Knight of Wands in that energy is not really in a position to be in commitment, especially not divinely so. This is someone that's just a bit immature, perhaps still operating out of his lower nature, a little bit overambitious, or, just not the most stable energy you want to see coming your way when it comes to love. There's some maturity lacking there. This to me says that the King of Wands either bossed up he's in the King of Wands status now and he's looking at himself, and he's on his way to being an emperor if he isn't already, or that he faced off in some major way by way of the authorities that were impressed upon his life to stay bound. Like he had some like say the final boss to ultimately confront in his life that ultimately dictated whether or not he would be able to elevate or ascend, this diffused energy, this immature frequency that he was on. Like he had a test ultimately to face and he passed it with angelic assistance for sure, the spirit, angelic support and spiritual support. He had that in his corner, but he still had to do the work as the King of Wands does. He had to take the action. He had to be the force behind his evolution. And it seems like he did that. It wasn't intended that he would. It was like he was counted out. I don't even see the feminine counterpart on here, quite honestly, unless it's some essence of this Temperance card here, which does kind of make sense a little bit, that maybe it was the support. I don't know. I'm not going to go too deep in that, because that it might have just been the idealism of this true love exchange in the first place. That was his fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he looked forward to or looked up to. And that's what ultimately, yeah, because that's the Two of Cups here. It's like, you can have this if you're willing to elevate, if you're willing to make certain choices and changes. And maybe that was enough inspiration for him to boss up. But nobody anticipated that he would, or could, for that matter. Nobody anticipated that. And that's why it was thought that, hell, if we can't keep one of them down, we could at least keep the other, because that's all you really need. It could be a feminine in her, like, say this is the Queen of Cups, but and look, that's what it looks like too. This is interesting. He almost looks like the Knight with how he's dressed and how this one's dressed. You could have a Queen of Cups. I'm just saying it, hypothetically speaking. She's all modest and draped down in white and in blue, almost kind of similar to how the Queen of Cups is dressed in her picture. He almost looks a little bit more immature in a sense, like with almost like this knight gear. He doesn't really look as kingly as the other kings do, right? So consider, he could have had all the intention of being in this love that one could embody, but if he wasn't, hold on, Jay. But if he wasn't willing to do the work to elevate and exalt himself to be, in that position, it was never going to work anyway. Even if they got together, it would still somehow fall apart if they were really on two different pages, energetically. So that just adds value to what I'm saying, that if you can keep one of them down, if they could keep him down as the Knight of Wands, just chasing after his own wand relentlessly, or looking at chasing every skirt that passes by, and at the worst of it, then it would keep him from being holistically a match for this anointed love vibration here. And that would be enough in itself to ultimately keep this situation ripe for siphoning, and just ripe enough to be manipulated for some external force and power. Chariot card, moving forward. Yeah, look at this. What's that? Wow. I just had to see that. And there's the Empress. So there's the Empress. That's the divine feminine right there. So not only, so that just gives me what I said, that the Knight of Wands is not, he's moving forward in his evolution, either looking at himself as the Emperor or seeing the possibilities of who he gets to be as the Emperor, taking control over his life. Maybe he doesn't even necessarily see himself as the Emperor, but he sees himself as having that potential now, whereas before he had a long ways to go as the Knight of Wands, right? But now that potential is far more vivid, and maybe it already is so. The cup is anointing the two energies right here, like it's like maybe he's about to take over some powerful position of authority in spirit and in truth that he didn't even know was due to him on account of the choices that he's made to ascend. Like he thought he was just signing up for divine love, and now comes with that some authority, some power, some prestige, like all the things that ultimately these two were after, but doing it by the most diabolical means, doing it by the divine mean of ultimately answering to your highest self first and foremost, is what leads you on that direct path to that spirit of prosperity. So we got the Chariot card with the Empress moving forward in victory and success, It's like she's got even a police escort. I don't know why I just heard that. But I see that, like there's some type of, that's weird. There's something special about this union, or yeah, or this print, or this empress, that she's almost got, like, you saw how I was like, what's that? And it's like she's almost, this is like her security leading her into different spaces. You know how when you have private security, they usually go ahead of you to make sure, they clear the way and stuff like that. I was told that by a guy that does security one time. It was funny. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, and then here you have the Eight of Wands, which is fast communication, fast action, this energy that's been defeated here. So there's probably the communication that's coming in, that they're to let these guys know, like, this is a return. The energy that was expelled is being returned, and that's how they're going to pretty much know that it didn't work. That whatever was sent out, whatever energy was expelled to stop this union, to stop this, to stop these individuals, first and foremost, from expressing themselves fully and completely in the ordinance that they're destined to do so, has been cut short. Anything that was done on account of that is being returned eightfold at least to sender, and it's defeated all determination with this Five of Swords card. It's defeated it, and this is by way of jealousy ultimately, which is the Five of Swords. That was the motivation, was just being jealous of someone else's possibilities, and with the Page of Swords, not being focused on what you get to maintain or get to create for yourself. Like that was the motivation here. And we know and also this determination to win at all costs. Now these individuals are going to experience that same vitality of force coming their way, where it's just going to feel like they can't win. Like every which way they turn, there's always something falling apart. They might even experience that in the home that they've created with each other. That, everything that they've expelled ultimately, all the motivation that they've operated in, the poor intentions that they've moved by, it's like, who wants to go? It's like them going out into a world where they only meet themselves everywhere. There's no hope. There's no, that ultimately they're going to face themselves in every situation that they experience in life because of the choices that they made directed towards others unjustifiably so. Like, that sucks, which is why it's important to, treat others as you want to be treated, because ultimately, what are you doing? You're sowing seeds into the earth. And eventually those seeds that you sow will be harvested. Even if you think you're sowing them into someone else's garden, they're only going to eventually grow in your own. So the golden rule is golden for a reason, and it will always be paramount. It will always be the top rule that really matters, because it's just the law of the land and of spiritual and the spiritual law, that you reap what you sow. So those that have been reaping in grace and gratitude are going to receive that eightfold, perhaps even more than that. That's just the expression of the card here, where it's fast, it's furious, it's unstoppable. The return of this spiritual essence in this regard is on account of what you've ultimately sent out, what you've expressed, what you've expelled is coming back to you. So it's cause for us all to, I'm hearing the scripture, be not weary in well-doing. Like, sometimes you can get surrounded in this world with people that are always doing things to get by and doing it the fast way and hitting a lick, and all of this energy is that sometimes it really looks more appealing to do it the quick and easy way, and you might actually prosper for a while in that regard. But number one, it doesn't last. And number two, you're still going to have to answer for every seed that you sowed. even if you still have the harvest to show for it, you're going to have to answer for the intentions. And that's what this is, the intentions and the energy that you ultimately put into this garden that you created for yourself. One way or another, good, bad, or indifferent, we are all our own farmers of fortune, and what you put in is what you shall harvest, period. All right? So that's it. My son wants to go outside, and I don't blame him, even though we've been out all day. But I don't want him out while I'm in here, so let me go. And I'll leave you with that. Was a little bit of a rough one, so thank you for bearing with me while I kind of sifted through this. But clearly, this energy did not want me to really unveil some of this, and I get the sense that there's still more to be uncovered. But I won't do it right now. So, and I know I can account for the seeds that I've sown. So I know that for the most part, like this energy, it's no mystery for me to uncover for my own regard. Quite honestly, at least not in terms of who's at the detriment of this experience, because every seed that I sow is with the intention of love and light and peace and prosperity and truth, and all the fruit, everything that is fruitful of the spirit is what I sow into my own ground, what I sow into anyone else's ground, whether you're a friend, foe, or otherwise. I don't sow any bad seeds, any bad intentions. I don't project any negative energy toward anyone. I am completely indifferent to those that have even so-called violated me or wronged me so-called in some regard, because I ultimately subscribe to the scripture, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. So I know that it's just quite possible that for anyone that I could identify that has so-called sideswiped me in any way, shape, or form is someone else that could say the same about me in some regard that I may or may not even be aware of, So as we are all in this human experience, one to another, contributing and creating this consciousness that we all ultimately don't have to be, but we choose to be bound by in some regard. It's important for me to sow the most high vibrational seeds possible, because I want to create the life experience that's of the highest frequency. Simply put, it's honestly a little bit selfish. I don't want to sow anything negative into this earth, because I don't want nothing negative back, period. So I'd rather be broke and lonely and, juggling every dime before I expel any energy for the fast gratification of material wealth or gain, or even so-called stability or the appearance thereof, let alone wealth and riches of some great magnitude. Like, it's just not worth it to me. So, like I said, in this regard, it's more an expression of encouragement to continue to sow high vibrationally than it is to me any revelation for, caution for myself. Because I veer away from these types of diabolical determinations as much as I can consciously do so. And I pray the same is true for you, because certainly it is harvest time. It's Libra season. It's universally harvest time. It's agriculturally harvest time as we're in fall season. It's spiritually harvest time. There's so much about this time that is just fresh and new. And we are, even experiencing ourselves in new ways energetically that we've never encountered our human nature and spiritual nature before. So the last thing you want to do is to be blocking that vitality, that evolution and exuberance that is just busting at the seams for us all by way of the Ace of Cups. That just is divine ordinance right now, by investing in things that are temporary, let alone fleeting in essence. It doesn't balance out, the math ain't never gonna math. All right. So anyway, thank you for listening. I know this is too long. I'm sorry for the interruptions, but I'll see you tomorrow. Or I should start saying I'll talk to you tomorrow because you can't see nothing but my hands, right? I'll talk to you tomorrow. And until then, I leave you with